Hello and welcome to episode 59 of Shared Discovery, the show and podcast dedicated to sharing the many exciting and enjoyable aspects of games and gaming. I'm your host Victor, and back at it again 10 minutes later for another D&D episode of Savannah. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome.
I have all my dice. It's a good day.
All of them.
All of them.
That's crazy.
This is
That's
all
a
of
lot.
my dice.
It
It's
doesn't
not
look
enough.
as much as
I
you
know.
think.
I have like 20.
You say 22 sets, you'd think it'd be more, huh?
Yeah. That means I need more.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we could get some yellow in there, actually.
Yeah, I only have this like butterscotch
For those of you
looking
listening, it's pretty color spread on the table
Yeah.
here. But what are we talking about? Not
We
dice.
are talking about
this isn't
more
the dice episode.
More Dungeons and Dragons.
Should we do a dice episode of
We
it?
should.
Cool.
Oh my god.
Nice. Write that down. Write it down. We talked about this. I talked about this with Ron. We got to write down our ideas.
Episode.
Anyway, what are we actually talking about?
Dungeons and Dragons. Again, quickly building a D&D one-shot and or campaign very quickly. I said
Fast,
quickly twice.
quickly.
Fast, quickly, expedient.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good word.
You stole it out of my mouth. Expedient.
Were you gonna say it? Okay.
That's cool. It's 59, 60 is our D&D gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming up. We're doing that in a couple days.
Yeah.
So we left in the middle of a fight in our dungeon. So we're gonna pick that back up. We do our D&D every 15.
Mm-hmm.
So 75, 90, and then 105.
It's not 100. That would have been so cool.
No, we gotta do another live show for 100. So you can check all of those out at YouTube if you want to see us play them live. You can also, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple. I'm moving us over to the YouTube podcast here pretty soon because Google's going down. I'm gonna just start posting a lot more to diversify that. You can check us out on Instagram. Where can they email us if they want to say, hey, get more dice, I recommend these?
Yes. You can email us at shareddiscoveryshow@gmail.com. Please tell me to get more dice.
Yeah, if you do, I'll read it off live, and then I'll tell her no. Why?
You don't tell me. I'll get more dice if I want to.
No, you shouldn't get
Yes,
more dice
I
because
should.
you have so many.
Yeah, but I need more.
I do think there needs to be some yellow in there, if I'm being
But
honest.
I don't
with
like yellow that much. Can I get gold?
But it's rainbow.
Whatever.
Uh,
Intro question.
what you been playing lately? What you been up to?
D&D.
Yeah.
Buying more dice that makes
Yeah.
you mad.
Yeah. The idea for this episode actually came up because we kind of just did a one-shot yesterday.
Yeah.
With Ron.
Yeah, we were like, we want to play D&D today, so we're going to make some characters, and you're like, okay, I'll think of a plot. And then you just wrote down a sheet of notes, and it lasted 5 hours.
Because our regular playthrough group kind of fell apart to go whatever, but so we still wanted to hang with Ron, who could, and like, you still want to play something? Yeah, sure. And so I just whipped something up. The night before, I came up with some ideas and just did a brainstorming, and then it was pretty cool. We had started at 6:30 to 8:30. You build characters, I built the campaign, and then we just played. It was like boom, pretty fast. And
yeah, I think the only thing you gave us was like Monster Hunter campaign, and we're like, dope.
yeah, like we bounced off of each other.
Not
like,
Monster Hunter the
whoa.
game, just like the concept.
Yeah, your characters, boom, fighting monsters. So that was a really good time to see you two be able to play together. Beyond that, I've been playing more Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, actually trying to finish games for once. That's been a lot of fun. I was going to switch up a team member to use a Parasect because it has a sleep move. They get 100% guaranteed sleep move, but it doesn't learn Giga Drain, the best grass type move in the game, until like 50 something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait.
Sorry. You can't wait 20 levels.
Sorry, bug friend. So I've been having a lot of fun with that.
I started a solo playthrough of Outward, which has been really, really fun. Because I like that game, and one of our friends, like, that is her main games, and she's talking it up and all that, and I'm like, I haven't played in like 4 years, I want to try it again.
We used to play a lot.
Yeah.
And I tried to pick it back up with you.
But the beginning is hard, because it's a survival game, and you're just like,
game.
alright, I'm dead, and now I'm kidnapped by bandits.
You gotta generate resources in survival games, and it's hard to do in this one. But, okay. That is...
That's enough preamble.
We cleaned the house. We know what we're doing, but today we're going to build a one-shot live. And where do you like to start when you build a campaign?
That's a good question. Sometimes I start with the world. Sometimes I just start with, like, the theme. Like, what are you guys going to be doing? What do you want to be doing? Like, do you want it to be just a monster slaying campaign? Do you want like gladiatorial combat? Do you want a story heavy game? Like, do you want to really get into character and role play your characters to have like relationships in the world? So it's mostly that. It's kind of asking like, what do you want out of the game? I ask my players. Or I just start with the world because I love world building, and then I'm like, here's the world. What do you want to do in it?
I like all of those aspects for me, and that's kind of yesterday. It's like, I don't know, I like monster hunting. What do you guys think?
And we're like, yes.
Yes, that sounds fun.
I like combat.
Because monster hunting is always, it's half mystery, it's half combat.
Yeah, because you have to like track down the creature.
You have to track and you have to figure out what it is and what it can do. And then when you do know what it is and what it can do, you have to
plan around it.
Outthink them. You got to plan around it. And so I started working on these show notes, and I was like, okay, go through this step. And then I was like, oh, let me see what other people have. I found this article that basically did what I would have done as I was writing my bullet points. It's from Cantrips Media. It's How to Build a One-Shot, written by Kylie DeWitt. So figured we'd go through our steps, go through her steps, and then we'll
talk about how we do it,
fill in and make our one-shot. By the end of this, we'll have an idea of like, okay, here's a general one-shot that we could play through if we wanted to, just to show you our process for it. So step one, I think we said it in the question. Right?
Gather inspiration.
You gotta be inspired, and we said this in our creating a character as well.
Yes. Look in media. Like for yesterday's campaign, you were like, we're gonna be in the WoW universe, World of Warcraft world. We're gonna start in Goldshire.
And that wasn't my inspiration for the campaign. It was a tool that I used. My inspiration was slaying monsters.
Yeah. You're right.
We'll get to the tools.
Okay.
But the inspiration became The Witcher, Monster Slayer, the Monster Manual. I picked it up, and you play through something like Baldur's Gate, and where you're killing all these cool monsters. In D&D, oftentimes you're going to be killing similar monsters. You're not going to be killing that often. It's not that diverse, because that's how stories are, just by necessity. Like, okay, I'm going to be fighting a lot of the similar thing if I'm fighting in this war.
Yeah.
So I flipping through it. There's so many cool things in the monster manual. I want you guys to kill them. I want a campaign where we see those. That was my inspiration. Yes. And so, like you said, books, movies, TV, online, whatever inspires you. Right? Caves.
Yeah.
Right? Anything.
Any kind of like, you're like, I went through this cave one time and it was cool. I want to build a campaign around it.
You went through a cave in New Mexico.
Yeah, the Carlsbad Caverns. Yes. Oh, they're beautiful. I love them. Even
that could be inspiration. It's like, oh, okay, I want my players to do something in this cavern. What can we do? Yeah,
there's a bottomless pit. There's a fairy city.
Interesting. Okay. Creativity. It's just picking some inspiration from anywhere.
The world is full of stuff.
That's step one. And then, okay, you're like, I don't know, I don't want to. I'm not that creative. But no problem. There's nothing wrong with just grabbing a pre-made one-shot.
And then, like, tweaking it.
You can tweaking it. You can put in your own ideas. You can read these one-shots to give you ideas of, like, oh, wait, that works with this thing that I was doing.
Like, you can take the world, like, the setting of one-shots and then, like, have your own plot if you want.
And I wanted to put a disclaimer here for this episode, as we're getting into it, that the essence of this is a one-shot, but we encourage you, if you're having a good time with the one-shots, feel free to expand them into a full campaign if the players enjoy what they're doing. I really like what Kylie put in here of finding some way to organize your resources. And she said Pinterest is not just for soccer moms.
I love Pinterest.
She said it's really, really great for organizing your D&D resources as you're being
making
creative.
Mood boards of just like, okay, here is this one city of like, it's aquatic, it's all underwater, so I just have like a whole board of sea life things to get inspiration.
I really liked Reddit. What I'll often do on Reddit is I'll just save the posts and then can scroll back through. Oh yeah, that was such a cool idea. I love that art. Boom.
Yeah.
And then I just make myself in the Google Drive. I'll make a folder. Anything I see on Pinterest or Reddit, just download, shove in there.
I am a photo hoarder. I have so many pictures on my on my drives for inspiration. So yeah, I have too many. I'm like, oh, that'll be cool one day later.
So many pictures.
Thousands.
Oh, I'm gonna take a picture of a mushroom for the 1,000th
Oh yeah,
time.
that too. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, pictures I find online. Pictures
it's cool
I take.
though. Even with our campaign this past weekend, you're like, I was going through my folder, inspiration folder, and this actually looks like the character that you were playing.
Yeah.
You were fighting, or a main character in my world. Okay, I think let's do the steps as they go. So our step 1, our inspiration, the caves.
Yeah, let's do cave.
Okay, so inspiration. We want an adventure set in
Carlsbad Caverns.
Carlsbad Caverns. I like this. Okay, so now we know a setting. And so what is step 2?
Find one detail to build around. You know,
Cavern.
the caverns, or it could be like, what is it? The conflict.
Yeah.
Like you have on here missing child, something specific, the location, the monster type. Just pick one thing, and we're picking caverns
So we picked the caverns
as inspiration and the thing to build.
is their inspiration. This is the one thing we're going to build behind. So build all the way around. And what next? We need to figure out the threat. So we know we want everything to take place in this cavern.
Yes.
And now we need to figure out the bad guy or the threat. In the article, it kept saying the big, bad, evil guy.
Yeah, the BBEG.
And I was like, I don't like that because it's not always just a big bad. It could be a threat.
Yeah. It could be like a whole army or something.
A calamity, something that you're trying to save,
Yes.
or whatever it may be.
Any kind of threat or conflict.
But I think that phrase, the big, bad, evil guy, is to say you want your players to fight something.
Yeah.
So in our caverns, what's our bad guy? What's our threat that our characters are trying to resolve?
So in the caverns, there's a lot of bats. You can even I guess it's not. There's an event where you can watch the bats fly out of the caves at night and go off to go eat food. So I'm like, what if it's a big bat or like a Batman,
Sure,
a man bat, if you will.
Okay.
Who's making an army of bats to do something.
And so here's some questions that Kylie gave in this section that we should try to answer as we're going through this too. What does your bad guy want to do?
Yeah, what's his goal? What's his motivation?
How are they doing it? Where do they hang out? We know where, in the caverns. Who are their allies? Are they
Bats.
solo, or are they controlling something else? And then who are their enemies?
Us.
Probably the
Other
players,
people,
but
yeah.
is there someone else that's trying to haunt them? And are those the players' enemies? So you saying our bad guy is a large bat.
Yeah, could be like a big humanoid bat.
Okay.
Could be a vampire, whatever.
Interesting. Well, we got to pick.
Let's do a big vampire bat.
Vampire bat.
Yeah.
So we're thinking it is a vampire, but it's in its mutant form.
Yeah, it's in his weird bat form, like Harkin from Skyrim.
All right, mutant vampire bat. I like this. And what do they do? Why is it a problem?
They want to destroy the sun.
They want to destroy the sun? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
They want to figure out a way to block out the sun so it is always night. That way they can rule the night. I'm on a vampire kick right now. And bats. I just like bats. They're super cute.
But why are they... So they live in this cave. They're trying to block out the sun. What got our players to the cave? What about blocking the sun caught their players to the cave?
So I think it would also be they want to make more bats, more vampires, as their army to help them as their minions.
Okay.
So yeah.
And so
that's what players are like. Okay, people are going missing. People are getting killed or whatever, taken by these bats.
So what are they doing? Is they're taking taking people for their ultimate plan. And we don't have to see the ultimate plan happen. It's just we are in the stages of them working towards that ultimate plan. And to do that, they're taking people that come into the cave or go near it even. Okay, I like that. And how are they taking people?
Much like in V Rising, hypnotism. They enthrall them, take them back to the cave to turn them, or just make them servants. Be like, okay, you need to do my bidding for me.
Okay, so this giant vampire is hypnotizing people that come into the cave and come near it.
I would say just like in the general vicinity around the cave.
Okay. And what's the general vicinity we think?
Like the town around it.
Oh,
the surrounding area, because Carlsbad is a town and it's not too far from the caverns.
Okay.
So yeah, just taking people from the town, and yeah, any people who decided to come backpack or travel into the caverns.
And so for our
until
version
people started going missing, and they're
our
like, hey,
version
this is
of
weird.
the cave, was this still a cave that was a tourist spot?
Probably.
And then
So in our version, I'm thinking of it more like slightly undiscovered.
Okay.
Like, not a tourist spot, but people are like, oh, that cave system's pretty cool. We should go there sometime.
Okay, so we're in the stages of it becoming a tourist spot.
And the big
The
bad's
town
like, I
is
don't like
forming. People are beginning to explore.
that. It's raining.
It's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. You can hear it. So, okay, I like this. So, caves near the city, just outside of it, few miles outside. City is forming, and as it's developing, people are going in more and more. And this bat, it's its home.
Yeah.
This vampire, and it's like it doesn't like that. And so it's
Like,
building an
screw
army.
all these people. We need to get rid of them.
Okay.
We're going to block out the sun, and we're going to be the ones ruling the night.
Yeah, it was just kind of passive at first, and now it's got its evil plan. And so we know where they hang out, in the cave. Do they have allies?
I just
Does it
put
have-
other bats. Is what I wrote down.
Okay.
So
regular
imagine-
sized bats.
Yeah,
They
like maybe
control
he
them.
can control them with sonar or whatever magic.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Regular bats, and then the humans he ends up controlling and turning into thralls become allies. And then who are their enemies?
The players and the humans. I actually wrote human instead of human, so that's funny. The humans.
Humans. So humanoid.
Yeah.
Because
There's
there's
more than
another
just
thing. Is this going to be D&D-ified?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, because
Sure.
that's fun.
So it's not just humans.
It's
so
not just,
humanoid.
Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Yes, that is just the inspiration.
Yeah.
And that's the big cave that we are using as the inspiration for our big threat. And what I really like, and I think this is a good time to insert this as we're putting these pieces into place, is that Kylie really says, don't name things until the end. There's no.
You can get stuck on names. I do
There's
that a
no
lot.
need to go through this naming process. That's just going to slow you down. So we know it's a vampire bat guy, and so it doesn't have a humanoid form. It's just always
Just
monster
always
bat. I
like,
like
it's
that.
man bat.
It's like monster. It's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so that's step 3. We have these ideas coming. You see how easy this is? It's just we pick something and we bounce it off. Use the inspiration of Skyrim and vampires and
Yeah, just
okay.
all vampire lore.
And once you pick something, it's pretty cool the connections that start bouncing around. So, step 4, time to add the beginning. So where do the players get started? And she also recommends knowing the class types of your players.
That makes
It's
sense.
like, so as you're building, it's like, okay, well, do you have an idea of what you're going to want to play? Because this can help you understand what kinds of threats you want to make.
I did that with you and Tamara and Jake. I was like, okay, what do y'all want to play? All right, you're a blood cleric. She's a druid of the stars, and he is an onomancy wizard. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna build plot around all of that.
Yeah, and it's easy. It actually like narrows it down. If like, okay, you're a cleric, I need to focus on God stuff. Okay, very cool, awesome. Your onomancy
Names.
wizard. I need a lot of names.
Yep.
Dang. Okay.
You need a lot of names, and it's been really funny.
Yeah.
Like lately, he's like, I extract name, and I'm like, all right, you know his name. I'm not gonna make one.
Yeah, unless it's a very significant.
Unless it's a significant character.
Yeah. So the beginning, we are gonna say for this one there are 3 players.
Yes.
So we're just gonna speculate. 3 players. We're gonna say 2 magic and 1 melee. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So, sorcerer, cleric, and a fighter. How about that?
Yeah.
And what I really liked, a piece of advice that they said, this is in the tip section later on, but start at the first interesting thing in the adventure instead of its true beginning. Okay, what's the true beginning of a story like this?
Yeah. People start getting taken.
People start getting taken, adventurers travel to town, they talk about to all the NPCs, get the quest. Is that really that interesting
No.
for a one-shot?
So it's like just pre-established, like you've been called here to stop this menace, to stop people from going missing, to investigate. You don't have to like roleplay that. You can just tell them like this is what you're doing. They can start right at the cave.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that I didn't do yesterday. There's certain things I could have skipped over. I could have skipped over the conversation with the marshal. I could have just handed you the paperwork. Skipped over some of the travel with like the soldiers and stuff. But learn the things that you can skip to save time and start where it's interesting. So we're gonna say
You're starting right at the cave. You're
looking
going
at the
in
entrance of the cave. Our players are ready to go in. Okay, and so we know where
probably
they're starting.
midday because they're like, I'm gonna go here during the day.
And this is where we're going to start adding those details like that. So midday, we're going to say noontime, and they're it's the weather. What's the weather?
Sunny, light breeze. I love New Mexico. It's great.
It's always sunny
in New Mexico.
And we know our threats. So we have a start now. Something I like to do as well is like, okay, just give us one at a time. Tell us about your characters.
Yeah, and you can be like, do you all have like an established relationship already, or are you just hired here together for the first time?
And what's really interesting, and what I was seeing as through some of the tips, is one-shots often take longer than the estimated 3 hours, and that's because there's people want to inject their role-playing, go off the rails, things like that, but you really need to communicate to the players that this is a one-shot, we have a finite amount of time, your characters
It's gonna be on rails.
care about the goal.
Yes.
Okay, step 5. We know the beginning.
Add the middles.
The middles, the guts. This
the
is
guts
where
of the
majority of the one shot is going to take place. So we'll just read through these, and then we can do them as we go. So you're going to develop the NPCs.
Maybe there's a guide.
Yeah, I like that. The characters that they're going to interact with. The encounters, right? So they're traps or monsters, what kinds of things that are they going to have to overcome, clues and secrets and treasure. The tip that she gave here is 3 to 5 clues that will lead the players to the threat. Right, so as we're going through the cave, what are they going to find that leads them to
Big Batman?
the boss's room? Right? And then build a dungeon. And this actually is pretty easy for us, I think.
You can just like find a map of the caverns.
Find the cavern map.
It's easy. It's
You've
online.
been in the caverns. What are they like?
So you come in from the entrance, and it's just like a big stairway that kind of zigzags all the way down until you get to the big room. I guess not a stairway. It's like a ramp, but whatever. Until you get to the big room, and then it branches off. The big room is just like, it's a massive room, and it branches off into a few separate, like, not tunnels, but like other rooms that have various things, like the bottomless pit. There is the fairy city, which is just a bunch of like stalagmites that form to look like a little city.
Oh wow.
And there's probably some more. I haven't been there in like 10 years.
Okay, so there's like paths and stuff.
Yeah.
It's all mapped out.
Yes.
We can't find that map now because we're doing it on the fly.
We're busy.
But we can kind of, from what you said, we can kind of guesstimate a plan here. And how big is this entrance?
Oh, it's massive.
Really?
The entrance to the cave is pretty huge. So it looks like an amphitheater.
Oh, wow.
Where the back of it, because like they have stands and stuff for people to sit in to watch the bats fly out, and then the back is like a massive amphitheater.
That's cool.
And then there is a set path that you walk down.
Oh, wow.
It's really big.
That's
and
amazing.
then like past the stairs or past the path, it's just open cavern all the way down. It's really dope. Wow. I don't even know how long it is. I feel like it's probably like a mile, maybe more.
Okay.
I haven't been there in a long time, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
That is very cool. That's massive. That's
it's
cool.
Huge.
And from there, I'm already getting visuals. You can say, as you approach the cave, you see it from a mile away.
Yeah.
It's huge.
You see a massive mouth to the cave.
Hole, and then you can use that as pictures.
It's also really cool because like you have to like climb up to a plateau to even go down in.
Very interesting. And for this, I'm assuming it's very well lit.
Yeah.
In there. This is going to be lighting. Lighting is something that is going to be one of the things that the players are going to have to figure out if this is a newly explored cave, right?
Yeah. Because there's not going to be set up electrical lights. You're going to need torches. There probably won't be any like sconces around because why would any of the bats need that?
They don't.
Also, you're going to see all of the bats sleeping on the ceiling of the cave.
So light, sound is going to be very important. And so for you as a DM, this is the point that you're starting to think of, okay, what kinds of checks are they going to have to be making as they go through the cave?
Perception for sure, if they have a torch. Probably some dexterity saves because it can get slippery in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty damp and it's pretty cold in there. So, especially if it's not like a nice paved path, as it is for the tourist thing, it's gonna get slippery from just condensation and stuff. Okay. So beginning. The player, you describe a backstory about how people have hikers have repeatedly gone missing as we expand and into the cave. And people from the town are getting abducted at night. We assume they're going there.
From that makes me think, so we have a guide NPC that leads them to the cave entrance.
Yeah, that
adventures.
Is kind of their guide down in there. It shows them where to go.
Yep. And then
but isn't going to go all the way down.
Yeah, here's the rooms.
Here's a map.
Here's the map, and off you go. And then, do we want one more NPC for a lost person that they find in the cave?
Yeah, maybe. So I was thinking about this because of V Rising. Like, what if there's cages for thralls to be turned eventually?
Okay. So lost survivors, and so encounters. So I was thinking,
I put swarms of bats.
The way you described this, I was thinking 3 main encounters. The first encounter is broken stairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That they have to get across. Right.
Like
I think about Castlevania.
Yeah, kind of a trap, but it's just an obstacle. It's just a hazard you have to get past.
Yep. And so immediately going down, the guide's like, sorry, guess the stairs are out.
Yeah.
And then the adventurers have to figure out how to get over that.
Or how to get down.
And
like if you have rope, you can...
There's going to be rope and stuff everywhere,
yeah.
but the group has to figure out how to get across that. Next encounter.
I think swarm of bats, because the bats, if you're making a lot of noise coming down, the bats are going to like... They don't do this, but in fantasy, they could. Like, just come down and be like, get out of my house.
And so, I would think...
Bat attacks.
That would be the tension as they're crossing the stairs.
Trying to be quiet? Okay.
Yeah, they have the light on, and that's kind of keeping the bats at bay. But if they're making a lot of noise, jumping the gap, waking them up, then
knocking
there's
over
a swarm of bats that they're going to have to run from. So, boom, we have an obstacle. We have another threat that couldn't make them fall.
Yeah, a possible threat.
Here's a question I had for you. What are the level of the players?
Let's do level 3.
Level 3, okay.
Call
That's
back to
a weak bat friend. It's a weak bat monster if
Yeah,
level 3
I mean,
adventurers can take him out.
He's just new.
Okay. Right, level 3. And so they get over the gap. They survive
like
the
he's
swarm of bats. They maybe take some damage, but they're able to get down. And now we're at some tunnel entrances.
Yeah, I think the big room would also not be like crawling with, but have some of the vampires' thralls around, either doing like patrols or just sleeping, and you have to try and not wake them up.
Okay, so a stealth thing.
Yeah.
Because that was my thing. Obstacle, thrall fight, boss fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's what I put down. I just said swarm of bats and thralls, and then boss fight is in it.
I don't think the bats will actually attack them. It'll just like bite at it. It'll soften them up.
Yeah, it'll just like swarm at you, dive bomb you to try and get you out of here.
Get you out of here. Make it difficult to not fall while crossing this gap. And how far do we want the stair gap to be?
Let's see. I don't know. Like 15?
15 feet?
15 feet?
Okay. All right. And so we get to the bottom.
Find the big room.
Thralls. Thralls are on us. If you're too loud, they're on you. How many thralls are we fighting?
I don't know, like 6.
6 thralls. Okay. 6
2 for each.
Vampire thralls.
I was
we
also
survive
thinking,
those, and there's 3 entranceways.
I was thinking about the clues that lead the players
That's
to
what I
the
was
threat.
just thinking.
So maybe it could be like animal carcasses of things that they've eaten. Like you could follow a trail of dried blood to the vampire's lair.
Okay. Because that was my next question to you. We come down, we get over the gap, we survive our fight with the thralls. There's 3 entranceways. Where are they gonna go to?
Well, 2 of them could probably go to like future attractions, and then 1 goes to the boss, the big boss. And it's either you try them all one at a time, or you look for clues.
Okay.
Like tracks, or I don't know what Big Batman does.
Okay, so in this open room, right at the bottom, I don't think they would keep survivors there.
No, I don't think so.
The caged ones.
Yeah.
So what if we have a room that has survivors or like people ready to be turned?
Yeah.
We have a main lair, and then we have a feeding room.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then the people that are waiting to be turned.
Like feeding for the thralls, because I assume lair he would just eat it.
He would eat in his lair, but there's like a feeding room for the thralls.
Yeah, I like that. So that way, like, if you go one way and you find the survivors, you can help them escape before you go to the big fight.
Absolutely. And I think, too, on the survivors, is that another encounter, or did we deal with all the thralls? Are there some thralls protecting them?
Probably.
Okay, so 2, you think?
Yeah, probably like 2.
Okay.
And I'd say 2 to 3 survivors.
Okay.
Let's go 2.
Let's go to 3 and 1 that's dead.
Yeah.
So, 2 survivors and 1 that didn't make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 that has been drained.
Yes. And then they have to think about what to do with the survivors. We have to think, as the thralls have been defeated, the boss is going to be alerted.
Yeah.
The other thralls are going to be alerted, so this becomes a time-sensitive thing.
So, like, are you going to save them immediately? Are you going to come back for them? Are you going to let them out and be like, all right, fend for yourself, get out of here? So it's up to the characters, it's up to the players.
And again, this dungeon layout can totally change once
it doesn't
we
have to
actually
be the
see the dungeon the map of the caverns. That could change, but I'm just trying to think of like a rudimentary one. So middle one, feeding room. So it's for the people that they want to eat. The carcasses of nearby boar or whatever. That's the feeding room. Probably 2 more in there.
Yeah.
2 more eating in there. And then the last one to the right, far to the right, that's going to be his lair. And what I'm wondering is, on the way to his lair, do we want another obstacle?
I was thinking like like a fork in the road, and you don't know which way to go, and one of them leads to the bottomless pit.
Whoa, I like that. Yeah.
That is kind of like a trap, so you have to be careful. You either have to search for traps, or you have to like make some kind of save to avoid falling in. And then if you fall in, I don't know, make a save to try and not
Okay.
fall all the way. I don't know.
What if at the fork they have to make some sort of perception check? Threshold 15.
To try and like hear or
to
feel something.
Yes. So if they get their perception check high enough, they feel to the left breeze, and then and to the right they hear crunching.
Yeah. I like that.
Because that's a clue. There should be some clues leading to...
instead of just like wandering and then,
or
oh no,
if
you're
they
in a
do
pit.
a survival check, they can see some like bones. Well, that's interesting. Do you think they would throw the bones into the
pit? Probably.
Yeah.
Unless they want
So
to keep
what
them.
would denote with a check which way leads to him?
Possibly blood.
Tit.
Possibly like any scratches on the walls. Like in case he was angry or something. I don't know.
Oh, here's an interesting one.
He dug his own tunnel.
It's a survival check, 15, and you look closely at the wall, and there are marks from like a claw.
Like his wings or
his
something.
wing marks.
Yeah.
Because they have claws on them, scratching down the wall.
Because he's so big.
So big.
And then it shows like, oh, this is a big creature.
Yes, and then on the left side, you don't see that.
You kind of just hear like dripping
hear
of water or something.
Like a breeze from that. Okay. So then that adds some checks. That adds some clues in.
Lets you use your skills.
Lets the players use some skills. And as you're a DM, you're going to make up stuff on the fly.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, someone's going to ask a question, investigate. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, is there any treasure that they find on the thralls?
I think so, most definitely, because these were either other adventurers, these were people, these were hikers, so they're going to have some things on them. If these were other adventurers who were like brought and turned, like they're probably not going to keep their stuff on them, but it will be discarded like in a corner or something.
Sure.
There will be treasure.
Okay, so in this...
They'll have money at least.
So in this main room, if they choose to investigate, we find a pile of treasure. We find a pile of stuff. They might not be, like you said, adventure. They're going to have some money. They're going to have some equipment. They're going to have some more torches, some rations, some bags, stuff like that. And then if they roll a high investigation check, find a rare item.
Yeah, they can find... rare items like a weapon or something cool.
Okay, so there's a pile of treasure in the main room after fighting the thralls. That's an investigation check. And we kind of have a general layout. This is the guts, and a lot of the guts is going to come with you having a book in front of you, you being online, writing the stats of the thralls, knowing exactly what your players are at. But you should have a general idea of stat blocks for your enemies, where the enemies are at, where the treasure is at, and then the complete layout of the dungeon of, okay, where are they moving to? And it doesn't have to be super detailed. Mine are usually just lines. Okay, the end. We gotta add the end. How does this thing end?
So, what happens when they kill the baddies? Do they get loot? Free room and board? So, I think they will get loot from the thralls' bodies. I think when they complete their mission, they go back to the city or whoever hired them and will get probably a reward.
And what I liked too is, so we'll get to the tips here in a moment from other DMs. I found some posts on this, but leave something for the players to hold on to, some cliffhanger. And this is for, inspiring them to want to play more, or like making it memorable, but also in case you want to play more in the world. So my thought is, they make it to the boss's room. It's epic, it's scale. You have his stat block. You can draw the rooms. There's stalactites. He's flying around. They're having to use the environment. Boom, boom, boom. Right, you design that whole fight. They win. His final words are some cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I'm not the only vampire.
Yeah, I'm not the only one, or
We'll
there will
rise
be
again.
another.
This is not your world.
I'll be back. And you're like, what?
And I think he should have some cool rare item.
Yes. Probably like maybe an amulet. Because I'm like, I don't think he would use a weapon. He'd probably just use his claws. But maybe he has like some sort of magical amulet or device on him that is allowing him to be this powerful.
Yes.
It gives him some kind of advantage in the fight. I don't know. And then you get that.
And he could even say too, it doesn't matter if you take me, the abyss is still open. Right? if they found the hole, it's like, oh no,
Like,
what's coming out of that?
Yeah.
And so you conclude, you save the survivors, you get your treasure, you go up. And something I was also considering too, and this is, you want to think about possibility. You can't think of everything, but you get to that gap in the stairs. What's going to happen to the guide?
I was thinking that the guide wouldn't go all the way down
He
there with
wouldn't
him.
go all the way.
He's
That's
like,
the stopping point.
yeah, he's like, I'm going to lead you here, and then I'm done.
And then this
I don't
is a
get paid enough for
decision
this.
point for the players who say, like, go get some builders.
Yeah, to fix this.
Go get some supplies to fix this, right? So what I like to do is think about as many possibilities as I can. You don't have to write them down, like, in detail, but bullet point. Okay,
Yeah.
if they do this, boom. If they do this, boom. And that was one of the tips, like, think through, have modes in your head of, like, okay, so now we're leaving the dungeon. People are there to meet you.
Yeah.
Right? And then the city's like, wow, cool. And then you're like, well...
Actually, you see, we need to fill this hole.
And then
because something's going to come out of it. And
it
then there
ends. The movie's over, or, you can talk to your players. Maybe you want to continue.
Yeah. Like, do you want to help fill in this hole? Do you want to go stop the vampire menace that's running around New Mexico?
And what Kylie recommends here is have a summary written up that you can read off to your players, or for your head of, like, okay, regardless of how this ends, they died, they returned to thralls, whatever it may be, have a couple of summaries of this is how it ends.
Like, you saved these people, they went to get medical attention, and they can go back to their normal lives. They will probably leave this country.
Yes. And so we have a beginning, we have a middle and end, and this actually sounds like a pretty fun one-shot. I'm not going to lie to you. This sounds really exciting.
I think this would be super fun for me to run because I know the caverns.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I could be really good at, like, describing, like, the trickle, the cold breeze. Like, you feel eyes watching you because they're all around.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of
It smells
speculating
bad.
off of things that I've seen, like Castlevania, but you would know more, like, okay, what do the stairs actually look like? What would it actually look like for them to be broken?
Yeah.
Right? What would a cavern breeze actually feel like?
It's
Something
very cool.
like that. But yeah, I think this is really cool. We have a beginning, middle, and end, and now we have something to build off of. And once you have this, it took us probably, like a good 40, 30 minutes to just get this outline, this template here. This is the point where you start filling in. This is where you start getting stat blocks. This is where you start getting a detailed map. This is where you start getting names and specifics and have extra names, because sometimes I'm like, all right, what's your name, random person? I don't know.
Just have a random name generator on your phone. You can be like, his name is Paul.
But if it's a character that exists in the game, like the people in the cages, have a name for them.
Yeah.
Because players, what's your name?
Yeah, you don't want to just be like,
Citizen 2. I don't know.
I am woman.
That was fun. This is a fun little, like, thought experiment, and it just came out of saying caves.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now we have some tips that we're going to go through from other DMs here. So what is the first one we have?
So cut out time. Time sucks, like time sinks. So things that just take time away from the adventure, like shopping and player introductions.
Yeah.
If you don't need to do the things, you can just speed run them. Like, I need to go to the market and get a potion, and I'm like, okay, they're 25 gold.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
think this generally is just good advice for a campaign anyway. And there's been times where someone's shopping for 10, 15 minutes, and you're like, oh, dude. Yes, this town has the things.
Yeah.
Give me the money. Let's move on to the interesting bits.
Like, if the shopping isn't going to add something to the story or add something to your player's character, then it's not worth role playing.
And sometimes they can add something to the character.
Yeah, maybe the shopkeeper's really funny.
Maybe they're funny. Maybe you're seeing how cheap a character is, and they're trying to talk them down and bargain. Sure, but you don't need to do that every time. So think of those places that suck up time, because typically one-shots are designed to be 3 to 4 hours, and then time flies.
Which is not enough
it's
time.
hard to condense it. I yesterday was almost there, and it was 5.5 hours. We were almost done. And the other one I did was 6 hours. And so look for those ways to cut off time. But it's not a bad thing if it goes over on time, if people are having fun with it and they have the time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and player introductions. We talked about this already.
They can be like, they don't have to be like, here's my entire backstory. They're like, I am a human fighter. I used to be a soldier, and now I'm hired to do this.
And some of the DMs even recommended, you can say that, see so-and-so, Atlas, after coming off of a charged battle for the Monster Association against an Emerald Dragon.
Jeez.
Fresh off the battle, he's looking for something much more difficult to fight because that's the type of adventurer he is.
Yeah.
And so they recommended that too, because a lot of times one-shots are for newer players.
Yeah, so you don't want to like be like, tell me about your character, and they're like, I don't know. I'm a human. And so you're like, okay, let me give you some direction.
Yeah. And so up next, this is what we've been
Starting
saying a
scene.
lot. But so you skipped one.
Oh, I did, sorry.
Because you're cutting stuff out. I get it. You're cutting out the time sucks. Look at you go.
No, you need less than you think. So all that we just did, it's really not that much. It can feel like a lot to people who aren't used to it, but like we just were like, we're gonna put bats in a cave and you gotta fight them. That's easy.
Yes, but when we say you need less than you think, you said it's less than. It's more than you think. What we just did, this is more than you think in sense of time. What we just did right here, if we're not careful, that could take 6 hours.
That's true. It's true.
Right? Because the prep that you do as a DM, you're like, well, they're going to use it all. They're going to go through it so fast. I'm not going to be ready. But players dirtle, players role play, players ask questions, talk amongst themselves, fights take longer.
You need to prepare less than you think.
You need to prepare less than you think. So my very first one-shot I did, I wrote pages and pages of notes. And then yesterday I did 1 page and I was still going, I'm like, no, I don't need more than this. It's not going to... We don't have enough time, and we still ran out of time.
Yeah.
So the prep work you do goes a long way. A little bit goes a long way when you're prepping for D&D. Okay, next.
So starting scenes should tell your players exactly what to do. And that's what I was saying. Like, you're at the mouth of this cave. You have been called here to stop people from disappearing, to find the source of it, and put an end to it.
Yep, and it should be very deliberate and skip to that interesting point. They know that because they talk to people in the town. Don't need to see that. That is what that exposition is for.
Yeah.
You're here.
You don't need to start them arriving in the town and talking to people
deal with the
and then walking all the way to the caverns. Just start them at the caverns.
And I think exactly what to do is a good phrase too, because sometimes players are like, so what do I do?
Yeah.
You're putting them on the railroad to go straight after the throne.
Like, you're going in this cave.
I like this one a lot. It says, if combat drags, don't be afraid to call it.
Yeah.
If the combat's taken a long time, you're the DM, figure out something that makes sense for the combat to end. So the one they said is like, okay, bandits, you've killed a few. You're an hour into this combat. The bandits are like, well, we're scared, we're being overwhelmed, we're going to escape. That's going to wrap up a combat very quickly.
Yeah.
The thralls, if that's taking a long time, you know...
They'll probably just book it back to their master or something.
They'll try to retreat to their master and get the help. Boom, that's it. That's something that could change the campaign right there. You know, but know that you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to throw in some external threats. Oh, I don't know, a giant bullet swims through.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And scares the thralls away. And you're allowed to do that. And so I like that one. I think that's good advice in general.
Yeah. If this is taking just forever and it's not getting anywhere, just like...
We had one combat in the Pokemon T&D where it took an hour and a half. And to me, I was like, just do the obvious thing that I left for you on the battlefield, but neither of you were seeing it.
I was silly.
There was a flying enemy that was just raining havoc on the two of you, and you're like, what are we supposed
I
to do?
didn't have a flying Pokemon at
What
the
are you
time.
supposed to, and I had a
I had a
tree
cat.
right next to it.
I had a Skitty, and you were like, dude, there's trees. And I'm like, my
Like-
cat can climb trees.
And I kept saying that for now. There's trees. And you're like,
I don't understand.
What is the point of that? I was like, what's your climbing? What does that matter?
And I'm like, oh,
And then I was like, it can climb, and there's a tree. Oh.
look, players are silly. People are silly.
But that would be, I could have intervened and said the bird flies away,
Yeah.
right? I could have done anything of intervening and saying, roll a intelligence check or a history check or
just
wisdom or
yeah.
some sort of check,
And
then
be
be like,
you remember,
you can climb the tree.
your Skitty can climb a tree.
Yes. And so don't be afraid to intervene like that in a way that makes sense within the context of the story of not just handing it to them.
Yeah, like giving your players hints is perfectly fine.
Yes.
Like if they're stuck, like just keep the game going.
Because oftentimes, too, our characters are smarter than we actually are.
Yes.
And the DM knows everything, so just throw them a bone. Okay, what's our next one?
A trail of breadcrumbs leading to the end game should be very explicit, obvious, and repeated. So the clues that we talked about, you know, all of the thralls, all of the corpses, the dried blood leading to the bat.
The
Stuff like
marks
that.
on the wall, because of how big he is. The feet, you'd probably see marks if it's a small cave.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't see any marks, and that's the only cave you don't see marks in because he's flying to his room.
Yeah.
Nobody's walking in there, no thrall prints, no nothing. That could be a sign in itself too, right? But repeat those clues, repeat the signs. So in the one yesterday that I did, we repeated the clues in the tracks. So if the tracks don't go anywhere,
Yeah.
they're one spot and then they're gone. What does that mean?
So my
We
character
repeated.
was like, maybe they're flying up and swooping down, maybe they're going underground, maybe they just teleport.
Yep. Yes.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Except they don't fly.
They don't, but like they're all the above
Yeah.
could be options,
Yeah.
but they're repeated to get you thinking
Yeah.
about the possibilities. And it was underground, and they did teleport underground, and you learned that your characters
learned
were
that, yeah.
building a profile of like, okay, these what these look like.
It was so
Let me go to the
interesting.
library and reference this with the Monsters Association, or a repeated clue of like every single character. I kept making it explicit that they scream in terror.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, blood-curdling terror. This is to communicate that this monster has a magical ability
Like
to
a
make
fear
you
effect,
scared.
yeah.
So you were able to get an item to help prevent that, right? Repeat those over and over and over throughout this. So for ours, it's going to be blood trails. It's going to be some specific sign that ties to our big bad.
Yes.
Okay, what's next?
Have pre-made characters ready for your players.
That's
For-
a good one.
Yeah, for a one shot, like if you just want to get new players into the game, just like have something ready for them based kind of off their personal preference, if you know their preference, and so that way they don't have to go through the process of creating their own character, because that can be daunting for a lot of people. So you just be like, here's your character, this is how you do combat, this is what you roll for things, like this is what you're good at, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really like, there are websites where you can go, okay, I want my character to be a human, I want it to be a cleric, and
Level 3.
level 3, roll it for me.
Yeah.
Boom.
Then
And
you
that's all
just
you
get,
need
like,
to do sometimes.
all their
And
backstory.
you can, with a player, do you like this about? We can tweak it a little bit, but click the button, and then you're ready to, like, you have a character made from there, and they can
Random
tweak
generators,
it. Yep.
they're great.
Those are great, and I like to use those for NPCs, too, so. I like this next one. This was a really well phrased. One-shots don't have to be generic, but the goal usually is you are saving the town from the monster.
Yeah.
The goal is specific, it's generic.
Go find the big
Go
bad
find
and
it,
defeat it.
But how do you get to that point can be interesting.
Like the caverns, like it's not your typical dungeon.
The goal doesn't have to, for one shot, make it generic. We say generic because we don't want it to be elaborate. You're not trying to solve some like ancient riddle
Yeah.
or puzzle or some
You're not trying to
mystery
change
or
the
change
world.
the world. It's just
You're just trying to
stopping
save this one thing.
a threat, saving a person, retrieving some lost treasure. Not like some like treasure that you know that was taken in a
Yeah.
cave. Simple. Okay, what's up next?
Remember that new players go slower, so if you set out for a 3-hour session,
Yeah.
plan for it to be 5.
This came up with the first one that I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a new DM. 2 of the players hadn't played before. Another player hadn't played much, and it just took longer because of all of those aspects. So.
Just getting used to the system, getting used to the characters and the sheet, like.
And I think this is just something. This is another one of those D&D rules where things take longer than you think.
Yeah.
So be patient. This is another one. Be patient with those new players, and expect a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Up next. Start at the first interesting thing in the adventure. We've said this throughout, but I think it's really important.
Yeah.
It's like, take away that boringness. Take away, because people have short attention spans.
Yeah.
They're gonna
You
zone
need to
out.
get them
I don't care
invested
about the mayor.
immediately. Mm-hmm.
Why do I care about talking to the mayor? For you, I had you have some of those conversations because you're a more advanced player, and I think it's important. But even if we started again, I think the interesting part would have had the investigation. I didn't need you going through and talking to and getting all the paperwork.
Yeah.
So the interesting part would have had you talking to the witnesses, right?
Yeah. And then, like, for the campaign with you and Tamara and Jake, like, I literally started them off in a cave. Like, they woke up in a cave, and they're like, where am I?
That's
Thus, the conflict
part.
starts immediately.
Yeah, it was there. We had to break out and fight monsters. And in 5 minutes, we were fighting.
Yep.
Within 5 minutes, we were fighting a thing. And so we all got there and traveled there, but we didn't have to see it.
Yeah. I was just like, this is what happened, and now you're in a cave. You wake up, here you are.
Okay. Leave the players wanting more. This can lead to a larger campaign.
Well, you were saying, like, leave it on a cliffhanger. Leave it kind of open-ended sometimes. Like, to just get players enticed to be like, oh, wow, this was really fun. I want to know what happens next. Can we play again?
Absolutely. And for new players, this is really important. Of like, this is their first experience, and oh, wow, there's something in a hole. I might never ever see that again, but I want to play D&D more.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Or would you all want to continue this?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So leave them wanting more. And I think a good way to do that is to include a choice at the end. There's not a lot of room for meaningful choices, because you have to have them on a rail. But with the boss monster, have them make a choice. Remember our one shot, I was like, you can help the guy, or you can take his treasure.
Yeah.
Right? That's a meaningful choice that will leave them wanting more.
Because it,
So what
it
could we?
divided us as
It
players.
really did. That was so cool. So what could we do with our bat monster?
Do you want to kill him?
Do you kill him, or do you hear him out and say, this is my home? I've been here forever and you're invading.
Yeah, people are invading. I just want people to
You
stay
can
away.
just say that I'm dead.
Yeah.
Or you can join me.
Or be like,
Right? Give
this
them
place
a
is
choice
dangerous.
at the end.
Don't let people come down here. Yeah.
You
like
can
that.
lie, but
Or you
that's
could just
a
capture him.
meaningful choice. So, and lastly, what's our last one?
Modifying existing modules is a great way to speed up the process even more. So that's kind of what we talked about. It's like for one-shot modules or just preset adventures, like you can take that, you can make certain changes to it to fit you and your playgroup's vibes more. And it just takes out a lot of the work of being like, all right, where are we starting? Where is the world? What time of day is it?
Okay.
Who are the NPCs? Like, if you already have something written down, like, for you,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier.
Use tools. So
Yeah.
what I did yesterday, I played WoW. I know the NPCs there. I used Goldshire. I used that map, and then that took out a lot of the work, sped up the process a lot. So don't be afraid to use tools and existing things. Okay, we got 40 seconds left here. Do you want to play this one shot?
I want to.
You want to polish it
I
and
want
play it?
to. I want to DM this
You
one
want to
shot
DM it? Okay, we're gonna do it.
with
Awesome.
Ron.
That'd be so
Maybe.
much fun.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
For someone who doesn't know
But
what's
that's
going
it. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned about our process of building one-shots and campaigns, starting points. But thank you, BCTV. Thank you to all the listeners out there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns that you want to email us directly, you can do that at shareddiscoveryshow@gmail.com. And, of course, thank you for joining us on episode 59. Play some games, play some one-shots, have fun, be kind to each other, and send it off.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.
There it is. Bye.
I found it.